Hi guys, today we're going to be working with some equations that specifically have fractions within them. Okay, so let's get started. So first up, when you're dealing with fractions within equations, so when you specifically you see these fractions in there, you need to be careful with the sort of fraction that you're dealing with because it does change the order in which you move numbers away from x. Okay, so that probably doesn't make sense just from that sentence, but let's give it a try. Okay, so first up, the rule is you can't move numbers that are part of the numerator. So in the fraction, the numerator is the top of the fraction. If you've got your number shoved in that numerator, you can't quite move it. You need to actually remove the denominator first, so therefore there's no longer any sort of fraction. And then therefore you can move the number away. So let's give it a try. So I look at this first and I think to myself, okay, look at this equation right here. I need to get this x by itself. So what numbers do I have to move away? I've got to get rid of the 10, got to get rid of the 3, and I've got to get rid of the 5. That will leave me with my x by itself. Okay, so which number do we get rid of first? Well, straight away I think to myself, let's get rid of the plus 10. It's furthest away from x, so let's minus 10 from both sides. Do the opposite of plus 10. Okay, when I do that, 20 take away 10 is 10. 10 take away 10, they cancel, so they vanish. And you're left over with your 5x over 3, that's left over, and 20 take away 10 makes your 10. And then the equals in the middle, remember. Okay, so next up, let's get rid of the 3. You don't want to get rid of the 5 yet because it's part of the numerator. So let's get rid of the 3 first. So we times both sides by 3 because it's dividing. And those 3's will cancel out. And we're left over with 30 from those two. And then we're left over with the 5x. So the 5x comes down. And lastly, we get rid of the 5 by dividing both sides by 5 because that 5 is timesing. And 30 divided by 5 gives you a 6. And so remember, 5 over 5, they cancel, leaving you with just 1x. So there's your final answer. We finally got x by itself, so you are done. X is equal to 6. Finished, solved. Now, the next one is the situation where you have to change up the order. So have a look at this equation and this equation. They're very similar numbers, but the only difference is that this 10 here is not in the fraction up here, but here it is. You can't get rid of this first anymore. And the reason you can't move this 10 here is because it's within the numerator. So you have to somehow get rid of the fraction completely so you can move that 10. So the idea here is we're going to move the 3 first because you can't get rid of the 10 because it's part of the numerator. So how do we get rid of the 3? Well, we times by 3. It's the opposite of dividing by 3, so they cancel. Over here, this becomes a 60. Sorry, I'll use my highlighter. So the 20 and 3 make our 60. And then we're left over with the top. When we get rid of the 3, we're left over with 5x plus 10. Okay, so now notice that your plus 10 is no longer part of a fraction. We got rid of the 3. We got rid of the fraction. So therefore now we can minus the 10 because it's no longer part of a numerator. So our minusing the 10, we get our 60, take away 10 is our 50. And then we get rid of our 5 eventually by dividing by 5. And we get that x is equal to 10. So the fact that all I did was change up the fraction, even though I'm using the same numbers, that gets us completely different answers. One was 6 and the other one was 10. So if you're having trouble with the work, guys, come back to these notes. See which one of these your question looks similar to. I know that some negatives and stuff may get a little bit confusing, but let me know if there's any concerns. I'm happy to help. See ya.